G'day guys, I'm up in the beautiful snowy mountains. They've already had their first few cold fronts for the year. Water temps are starting to drop, trout are moving to the edges, and this is where it starts to get fun. I've been up on Lake Eucumbene for a couple of days now, and I've caught the majority of my fish casting at the banks. So just going to run you through the gear that I'm using, how I'm doing it, and the banks in particular that I'm targeting to catch these fish. So I've mainly been targeting wind-blown banks and banks with that slower, gradual taper. You want the boat a full cast length away or a little bit more from the bank, and only to be sitting in 12 to 8 feet. I found the wind-blown banks easier to catch the fish on rather than the banks with the wind blowing over you. The banks with the wind blowing over, you can see a lot of trout rising, you can see them cruising around. Trout follow your lure for a long way, and in this gin clear water they can see it from a long way away, and they'll come across and start tracking it. And if you don't give them a reason to take it, whether that be speed, a twitch or something else, they'll follow that lure all the way to the boat only to turn or have a half-hearted swipe at the end. So I've been using a combination of speed and a variation in my retrieve in order to get these things to bite further away from the boat rather than have them trigger right next to the boat. So I've been winding a little bit quicker than you would typically for this style of fishing, this side of lure, and then just giving the rod a short twitch every sort of second or third lap of the rod. That makes the lure, it's going pretty quick, and then it darts to one side, and nearly every trout that I've hooked has been just as I've twitched that lure. So the gear that I'm using for this, guys, is the NS Blackhole rod, amped, and it's in the Bream series. It's a 702 light. I've paired that up with a Quantum Smoke 25 S3, so it's the new model. So line, I'm running 0.8 PE in the PE for Siglon range. So 0.8 is the diameter of the PE, but it's 12 pound. The leader I'm using is the Sunline FC Sniper in the Invisible. I've chosen to use 6 pound, strong enough for most of these fish. They don't really try and run you into any sort of timber or anything like that. They just take off and carry on, and if you play them calmly, you're pretty safe. So on the business end, we have a Lucky Craft Flash Minnow TR. It's a little rattling jerkbait, doesn't go very deep, but you can burn this thing super fast and it'll stay true. And every time you snap that rod, flick sideways, gives a little flash, it's enough to get these fish to bite. So while I've been up here, I've caught these fish on a multitude of colours, everything from the silvery trout type pattern through to the brown crawl, even the greens have been doing pretty well. So guys, the fishing's only going to get better the colder it gets. Grab yourself a Lucky Craft Flash Minnow, head for the hills. See you on the water.